Hey guys, welcome once again to the DJ Talk Show. I am George Jett, and I'm here with
John Q.
Mr. Q. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
All right, man. We're gonna help these DJs and help us out at the same time. We're here to learn, just like you guys are doing, and I think we have a couple of quick notifications or things that we need to say. Is make sure that you subscribe to our channel here at the DJ Talk Show on YouTube, and also click subscribe and click the little notification bell. That way, when we go live, you guys will get a notification that we're on. So that's the first thing. Yeah. How you doing?
I've been watching a lot of finance videos lately, and everybody puts a disclaimer. This is not financial advice. This is only our opinion. So if we start getting into any business talk, which we probably will, since we're talking about how DJs can improve their worth, or prove their worth, I should say, we'll preference by saying it's not financial advice.
Okay. So we're not trading Bitcoins or anything like that tonight.
We're not trading Bitcoins. We're not, giving you financial advice for your DJ business. And if your DJ business suffers from it, then you can't come after the DJ Talk Show.
I like it.
We got to preference that.
All right. So I guess if you guys have questions, feel free to ask those on the comment field, and we will go ahead and answer those questions at a later time during the show.
Yeah, or we'll try to multitask while we're doing this. We'll see how it goes. We usually do Facebook Lives, or when we do the DJ Talk Show, it's you guys are seeing it after we've recorded. So this is I think this is first time we're doing the DJ Talk Show.
Yeah,
YouTube Live.
Yeah, YouTube Live.
Yeah, so bear with us, and we'll try to answer your questions as we go through this. But we're talking. George and I kind of chatted over the last couple of days about what DJs can do to kind of secure a position, at a bar. And again, we'll just preference by saying we're kind of talking about a particular type of venue here in South Florida. And I know there's venues like this across the country and probably across the world. But what we're talking about is, a bar/lounge environment. Maybe it's a bar restaurant environment that has a sports lounge that has a DJ. May or may not have a dedicated dance floor, but has a DJ. And so there could be a dance environment, but maybe not. Maybe it's just the DJ is there for entertainment purposes, listening purposes. That's the kind of environment we're talking about. There's plenty of that here in South Florida. So we're not talking about the mega clubs. We're not talking about a club that's specific to a certain genre of music. South Beach type clubs. We're talking about more of the smaller bar, sports club, sports bar kind of venue. So that's what we're talking about for this particular conversation.
And also no weddings either.
Yeah, we're not talking. Exactly. This particular conversation is not about the mobile events that you might be doing, the corporate parties and weddings and Sweet 16s. This is if you're working in one of those bar lounges that I just described. This is kind of that discussion, right? Gotcha. So this is what came up when George and I were talking, and that's what we decided to focus on for this call. The other thing that I'll preference is where, even though we have many, many, many years of experience, we're not necessarily talking about the DJ that has tons of experience. So we're just talking about a DJ that can do the bare essentials, meaning that they, show up on time. They come with, equipment that's adequate for the space. And they don't do any obvious mistakes. And what I mean by obvious mistakes is, they're not tripping over their mixes where you're hearing beats clash, something obvious to a crowd. They're not playing overly loud to get complaints. They're not playing too low. They're not playing music that's totally off from that venue. So if they check those boxes in the right way, that's kind of this discussion. So
right.
we're going to assume that those are the DJs that we're talking about. Again, you could be a year into DJing, you could be 20 years into DJing, but as long as you check those boxes and the reason why I'm saying that is because at those types of venues that we're talking about, I'm sorry guys, if you're an experienced DJ, it almost doesn't matter that you have that much experience at that type of venue. And the reason why, and hear me out, is because that crowd, typically, from what we've seen, they're there to have a good time and to party, but they're not necessarily critiquing the DJ. So as long as the DJ plays what they want to hear, what's familiar to them, and again, doesn't make any obvious mistakes, as I described before, you're going to get away with working at that venue. Right. What George and I were talking about. So with all that said, what George and I were talking
is also showing up on time. And actually showing up for the date of the event.
Yeah. Yep. So all of the, and I know this is not
disclaimers.
Yep. And we have to say this. Why? Because we understand that this is not necessarily obvious to many DJs. A lot of people show up late, don't communicate well with the venue ahead of time. Like I said before, plays music too loud because they don't understand sound quality and care about sound quality. So they do those mistakes that, an experienced DJ might, overlook, not focus on because you're so used to doing that. That's a no-brainer for you. But there's plenty of DJs that make those little mistakes and they jeopardize their job at that venue because they're doing that. Because all it takes is a customer to complain, hey, this guy's playing too loud, or this guy's playing the wrong music. So again, we're assuming that you're doing those bare essentials the right way. Mm-hmm. And how George and I kind of talked about this was, if you're doing those things in that type of venue, what do you do to secure your job at that venue? Assuming you want to keep working there and kind of form some sort of a residency at this place, what do you do to differentiate yourself from the other DJs that play just as well as I described? And again, you could have a 20-year veteran DJ and a guy that's 1 year into DJing, but they're both doing the right thing. They're both playing, we're going to assume, the right hits, today's hits for that venue. But what are you going to do to make sure that you get invited back the next week and the next week and the next week to continue working there?
Right. And this is really where we start the show right now.
I know that was a lot. That was a big build up to what we're talking about, but I thought it was important, and George thought it was important that we need to preference that, because I know a lot of people are going to be commenting and talking about this afterwards and say, well, what about this and what about that? Right. So understand how we're framing this up, and this will fit a lot of DJs that we know working at a lot of these types of venues. So we thought that this would be a good topic. And again, it's not necessarily strictly for South Florida, but we know in South Florida that there are venues of this type. So we wanted to talk about that. But this could be for, a similar venue in Italy, for all we know. You know what I mean?
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's definitely get into it.
But that's it in a nutshell. So I think it's important, and again, we want to hear from you in the comments, but I think the reason why this was so interesting to George and I is I think, and George doesn't think, that there's many DJs who are having conversations with the owner or the manager of said venue about how they can help to impact the bottom line. And that's important. The DJ might say, well, you know what? I'm getting X amount of dollars to play at this place tonight, no matter what. So I don't really care. But I think you should care, because again, if you're looking to form a partnership, a relationship with that venue and be their resident DJ, you have to start thinking that way, because until you have conversations like that, you're looked at as a cost for that venue, for that GM or that owner. You're just the cost. He's got to pay you at the end of the night X amount of dollars, and that's it. How did you add to the bottom line? If you're a DJ that has a following, and again, I think this is rare, especially in the venues that we're talking about. Again, understand the DJ and the venue that we're talking about. But I think it's rare that a DJ is going to be able to bring in 50, 100, 200 people, right, let alone their first night, but on a consistent basis. So
Right.
let's assume you can't do that.
Right.
What else can you do?
Right. Now, I want to touch on that real quick. Yeah. So the DJs that don't have a following, obviously, this is for you. Okay. Now, I asked a couple of personal friends in preparation to the show. I asked them, hey, what makes you different, or what makes the venue hire you over me or over another DJ? And the answers were, I wrote them down. The answers were, I show up on time, I hide all my wires, I keep my area clean, I play music that the crowd likes to hear, I show up, and I have liability insurance. So none of this.
Interesting. None of that affects the bottom line.
Right. None of this affects the bottom line. Anybody can have any of that.
Yeah,
so
and all of that kind of fits into pretty much what I was saying. The liability insurance is something I didn't think about.
Well,
it's nice. That's nice to have.
Let's keep that out of the thing, because I actually read that. I wasn't supposed to read that because I told the guy that has nothing to do with the bar. So let's skip that part. What? Other than you playing music and showing up on time, you need to start talking to the managers, and let's continue through that.
Exactly, because the manager or the owner of that bar is looking to hire you as the DJ for a certain reason. Either the DJ before you did one of the mistakes that I said, or maybe worse, he just sucked, and or he couldn't work there anymore. He left. He went on to another place, whatever the case may be. So he's hiring you, and the way I would look at it as a club owner, and I think the way that these club owners are looking at it is, again, like I said, you're a cost. Okay. You're not pulling in revenue unless you can. And I think one of the questions that most club owners or managers ask a DJ when they're going to hire them initially is, do you have a following? That's kind of their fallback question. Do you have a following?
And why is he asking you that? The answer is no. Right. So we got that part.
But the reason why he's asking you that is because if you have a following, you're going to essentially affect the bottom line. There's going to be more people in his venue buying alcohol and buying food. Okay. So you say no to that. So now why should he hire you? You know what I mean? The fact that your wires are neatly kept and that you show up on time and, you play the right music, it's still not putting additional money in his pocket.
All right. So, I didn't mean to stop you. I think we're kind of repeating the same things that we discussed earlier. Let's give the viewers some ideas of what they can do to improve their worth. Worth meaning to the venue that they hired. Okay. Mm-hmm. What else could you bring to that venue and have worth to that venue?
Well, thankfully, promoting in social media for most people is free. And when I say with most people, because you could go and spend to hire a marketing team, and that's going to cost money. So that's not free. But if you and the venue team up to make sure that the social media marketing effort is a joint effort, because you might have X amount of friends on social media and the venue has X amount, there's a free option right there. Right. Is the venue necessarily thinking that way? Maybe not. So it's your responsibility as the DJ to at least bring that up to them, have those discussions before the time you're going to play there, and have discussions like that and bring suggestions.
Okay. So on the topic of a flyer, let's touch up on this first. The DJ creates a flyer or the venue creates a flyer. Okay. We know the DJ doesn't have a following. So him or she creating a flyer means almost absolutely nothing, because he's not bringing anybody from his side over to the club. We got that far.
Yep.
Right? Because we're using an analogy that the DJ doesn't have a following. So him or her creating a flyer means absolutely almost nothing. Now, it could mean something because the club is going to grab that flyer and it's going to put it on their social media, which will their clients are going to say, oh, there's a DJ there on Saturdays or Fridays. Let's go check it out. But since it's really like almost like a no name, that's not sufficient. That's not a sufficient worth to say, well, I come with a flyer, only hire me. That's still not what we're looking at.
But the fact that you have or attempt to have discussions with the owner or manager prior to you starting, and I don't mean the day of, I mean if you secured the event a month or 2 weeks prior, right? And so you got the event coming up in a few weeks. You have to reach out to the owner or manager to have that discussion about what can we do to, make that night a success, not only from, just people showing up, but affecting his bottom line. And so you have to win them over with conversations like that. I'm not saying that your flyer is going to make all the difference, but the fact that you're reaching out to them and having that discussion shows him that you're looking out for his best interest. You're not necessarily asking for more money. You've already secured whatever you're going to make that night. But again, the plan is that you want to continue working there. So you need to start talking his language. And an owner and a manager's language is, how are they going to increase revenue?
Okay.
And like I said before, you're looked at as a cost. So
how does a DJ increase the revenue of the bar or lounge that he is working or hired to work at?
Well, and we can go through a number of ways, but the first one, like I said, is you brought up the flyer. It's not just the flyer. Hopefully the flyer was done well in a professional manner.
Obviously.
And it's not just going by the DJ posting it on their Facebook or Instagram, but like you said, let's make sure that the venue is aware that there's a flyer, that they're going to post the flyer.
Let's say they do.
Yeah, well, that's going to help promote the night. So that's the beginning of getting more people in the door to increase revenue, because you're teaming up with them. Now, just from that step one, how many DJs are doing that?
Right.
I don't think there's many. Maybe there's some creating their flyer and posting it to their Facebook friends.
Right.
But
so right. There is a question. I'm not sure if you're reading the questions that are popping up. I hate to interrupt you when you have a thought. So if you continue with your thought, but give me a little bit room if you see me moving, because I want to jump in, but I don't want to interrupt what you're saying, because I think it's very important. Give us a little bit of room there. We have a DJ Decade is saying creating a flyer is also for the DJ to use as a resume to show where the DJ is working to get hired. Again, this is not exactly what we're speaking about. This is for your benefit. We're talking about for the bar or the general manager's benefit, not yours.
And it's also, we're not talking about getting the gig initially. We're assuming that you got the gig, right? That you got that.
I think we
Saturday
cleared all this
night.
out. I think we cleared all this out. I don't think we should touch on this again.
I guess he's not understanding that we're talking about.
He probably jumped in late. I really don't want to rehash what we spoke 5 minutes ago. I mean, we talked about that already.
Yeah. Well, if he's confused, maybe others are. I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, but the point of it is, you got the gig that first night in, and you don't know if that's going to become a residency or not, and you're wanting it to become a residency. Your intention is, I hope this is not a one Saturday or a one Friday. Okay. What are you doing to secure the spot?
All right. So I'm gonna give you some of the things that I do when I work at a club or an event, because I think DJs really want not just that information we talked about, but they want the actual, what am I going to do? What makes me different? Okay. What makes me different is that I work out a deal with the bar. Okay, I work out a deal with the bartender where we create a picture of whatever it might be. You know, it costs them a couple of dollars to create a picture of, some sort of blue drink or green drink or whatever it is. We can pass out shots. It doesn't cost anything to the bar. And then we can run specials. We get on the mic to hype up the people, to say, hey, let's do some shots. We'll play a cool song. We'll do something that is a little bit more interactive if the bar is accessible for that. If they want you to be on the mic to cheer them up, you can do that. So you pass out the shots or you announce the drink specials, but you make it where, you can slow down the dance floor a little bit, where the people kind of start leaving the dance floor, pack the bar, which is what we call, play the slow song, pack the bar. And in that time, you can say, hey, guys, in the next 10 minutes, we're running a special on Corona beer. Buy, a bucket of Corona beer for $10. You get $4. It's $4 off, and you get 4 of 360 Mixes shots. So now you're forcing people over to the bar to purchase the liquor or whatever, the food. And that's adding value because you're promoting the establishment and they're making money off of it. That's just one thing.
And that's a great point, right? But you said a bunch in there. So to make that happen, again, you have to have prior discussions with the owner or the manager. And I don't mean prior, meaning you show up at the gig that night an hour or two before and try to catch the manager or the owner and have that discussion with them, because it's not going to happen. They're running around, they're trying to get things, ready for that night. You're not going to be able to have that discussion. So I'm talking about you've agreed to, your pay for that night. They've agreed to, okay, you're going to start on this night and it's 2 weeks out or it's a month out. That time and that much advance notice is when you have to have these discussions to get them on board to agree to these types of specials.
Gotcha.
And then also make sure that the bar staff for that night knows that, so you're not catching them off guard, so they can, say it to the patrons as the bar, the party goers come up to the bar throughout the night. They can say, hey, listen out, DJ George is going to announce, drink specials, and make sure to come back to the bar. It's got to be a team effort.
Absolutely.
But again, you're doing this to not increase what you're making as a DJ that night. And I know some might blow it off like, I don't care, I'm making what I'm making. But again, we're thinking long-term. So you have to start speaking their language about increasing revenue for them.
Right.
To secure your position, to improve your worth. That's what this is all about.
Right. Now, the other thing that I want to add to this is that what I've noticed is that many DJs, and including myself, not now because I'm rethinking the way I'm doing things, is that they come in at, let's say $300 a night, and they're working there 7 years and they're still making $300 a night. The price never goes up. Inflation goes up, everything goes up, food's more expensive, drinks are more expensive. They're still making the same $300 they made 7 years prior. So negotiation is also something that you should consider. And if you're afraid, I really think that if you're afraid to negotiate your rates, you don't have a good rapport or a good connection with that manager or person that hired you.
I agree. You should definitely put that into kind of your next steps plan. How we're talking about securing your residency early on. But yes, to your point, I think you should kind of find out some baselines when you're talking about improving revenue. You need to have conversations with that owner as far as, hey, listen, okay, I want this to be a success. I want to be able to measure success. So what do you do on a typical Saturday night? I'm going to be working here Saturday in 3 weeks or a month. What do you typically pull in at the bar on a Saturday night? And he tells you, we pull in X on a typical Saturday night. Right. Okay, now you know that's your baseline, and that's what you got to work to improve. So as you do that, and you come up with suggestions, the drink specials, promotion, everything that you can do, and again, do it with them as a team effort. And you see that there are more people coming to the club. You can notice visually that there's more happening at the bar. You're going to check in periodically with them. How'd we do this weekend? How'd we do this weekend at the bar? Okay. And you're going to notice those go up. And once it goes up, then you can use that as leverage to negotiate an increase in pay for yourself. But you can't go in negotiating payment because you didn't prove yourself yet.
No, not at the beginning.
You're a DJ with no following that's coming there on a Saturday night, and the plan is you want to secure your next Saturday and your next Saturday with them. And my point is, you have to start talking to them about how can we improve the bottom line for you.
Okay. So we're running into the 25th minute, and I want to change the subject just a little bit and go to the next topic, which is DJs. I feel that DJs should start considering playing certain genres and certain styles and actually creating a name for themselves and create a following. And I can tell you something. I don't have a following in anything. I play top 40 just like 90% of the DJs out there. They all play all types of songs, all types of genres. And I've been little by little only doing certain events that are strictly one genre events. And I am beginning to have a following. Like this last week, I brought in about 25 people over to a venue. And they were my group. They went there because of me, not because I put a flyer up, because they're now following me. So,
and they're following you for, like you said, for that reason, because now you're starting to specialize in one particular genre.
That's so correct.
I am totally for that. It's good to do that. And why is it good to do that? In my opinion, because to your point, all these DJs in these types of venues that we're talking about, they're all the open format type of DJ. They're all playing today's pop, commercial, hip hop, hits. And, thanks to the internet, unfortunately, everybody has the same or can have access to the same playlist. So George can be playing the exact same thing that I'm going to be playing, and nothing's really setting us apart in that regard.
Right.
Again, we know what we're doing. We're not making obvious mistakes. So what's setting you apart? I think that's a good route to take.
I did a talk show last night, and I asked the same question. I go, guys, I've known you guys for a long time. I go, between you two, both of you guys play the exact same music, almost the same exact music. And what makes me hire you or the other guy? You guys are playing almost the same exact music. You offer nothing different other than maybe your personality, but that's it. That's not enough to make yourself worth anything.
Right. And speaking about personality, I just want to add one thing because I almost forgot to mention this before. When you were talking about what you do as far as, the drink specials, announcing drink specials throughout the night, the first thing was, like I said, get together with the owner or the manager and make sure that that's a team effort. Make sure that the bar staff knows about that ahead of time. That's number one.
Right.
And my second point that I almost forgot to make that you said was you're announcing that through the night. So you're doing some work on the microphone.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you got to turn into an MC or one of these guys that don't shut up on the mic all night, because that's annoying too. But you need to pick up the microphone and communicate with the crowd a bit on drink specials or, rallying them up and getting them on the dance floor. You've got to do that. You can't just sit in these types of venues. You can't just sit behind your equipment and then just play the music and expect that, it's all going to be magic, because in a lot of cases, it's not going to happen that way. We're, again, a South Beach club or New York style club, a mega club where you're a DJ and you're up in a booth and you don't have to say peep to anybody and they're just there for that particular music. That's a different situation. But with these open format type of venues, let's call them that, you gotta talk on the mic a little bit and get these people on the dance floor.
Right.
So and at least to communicate the specials.
Again, the same thing happened to me a couple of weeks ago, where I come in and they said we never had a DJ that talks on the mic and cheers up the crowd, and they liked it.
Yeah.
So just on that fact that I did that, now I have an upper hand on the prior DJ. The other thing is that the prior DJs was working there for many years or many months, and their sound system wasn't good,
Yeah.
but they've hired him. And I said, listen, you can put me on rotation. I don't want his job, but if I wanted to take his job, I could.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of those things where you have to run, if you're going to run your DJ business as a creative thing where you just want to go play and have great time and play your music, great. But if you're going to make it a career, you got to treat it as a business. And
exactly.
And hear me out. You have to crush your competition. If not, your competition is going to go over you, and they're going to make the money, and you're not going to make the money. So my thing is, be a little. And again, I'm saying this because I just literally started this not that long ago, but I see a good momentum in it. And I started this in 2018. Going on to 2019, obviously 2020, I didn't work, but those 2 years got me thinking of those things. And talking to John just, a couple of days ago, he brought up a lot of good points, and I've been putting everything together, and this makes sense. You have to become unique. You have to have something that you offer that other DJs don't offer. Okay, you guys have to do that.
Exactly. And that could be, like George said, that could be specializing in a type of music that separates you, right? So a niche like that could be that. And that could be, like I said, having different types of conversations with the owner or manager that would differentiate you, because I guarantee you there's a lot of DJs that are not having that type of conversation with that owner or manager. Mm-hmm. So you can't just go with a hard drive of today's hits and with your controller and play through the night, because you're in that case you're a mobile jukebox. Right. And there's nothing separating you from the other DJ. And all it takes is that other DJ to come in and sneak behind you with something else to offer, and you're out of a job.
Right. And again, a flyer alone just doesn't cut it. If you're going to self-promote yourself, fine. But you're not bringing anything to the club. And I think that's something that many DJs in South Florida, including myself, are not doing. So I don't want to rehash that the same thing. We're at 33 minutes, and I don't know if you want to switch out the topic
or
in the conversation.
We can talk a little bit about, when you say self-promote, you don't have to necessarily become a marketing expert, although that would be great. But you do have to understand a little bit about marketing and how to market yourself on social media, or if you're doing an email list. You got to have your SHIT, together a little bit, and understanding who's your target market.
Right.
You could have 500 friends on Facebook, but who out of that 500 is in your local area that you could target to show up at your event?
Well, that's a great thing, because I have done that, and I've done that for the last, I don't know, maybe 16 years or something. And I can tell you right now, if I post a generic flyer saying, hey, I'm going to be at this place, nobody shows up. None of my friends show up. I might have one, I might have two show up, but none of them show up. And I know why.
Why?
It's the same music that they can hear any DJ play.
Yeah.
There is no following, because there's not.
But even that, if they're friends, the other thing is, if they're friends of yours and they like you, well, at the very least, they should show up. And again, you might not get them to show up every week. I understand that. That's kind of asking a lot, even of friends. But they should turn out when you're premiere night is at that venue.
If a premiere night, yeah, that's a whole thing. If I do a flyer because it's my birthday and I do it at a club, yes, my friends will show up.
But they're coming because your birthday.
Because it's
if you're playing at a venue for a first time, it's not your birthday, it's not your special occasion. It's just the fact that you're playing at this venue for the first time, and it may turn into a residency for you.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to preference that to them somehow, not in the flyer, but you'll post the flyer. But now you're going to have to follow up with them somehow, whether that's a text or a phone call or an instant message. And you're going to have to say, listen, I'm playing at this venue.
I'm starting a new job.
Yeah,
I need your support.
Basically, that's what it is. I'm starting at this place. I want it to turn into a venue, a residency, and I need you to show up at the venue. Yeah, you have to do that to get them to show up.
Right, but that's not me. I'm not going to go and force my friends to be there because I'm starting a new job. I'm not going to do that. And that's why I said I'm going to go ahead and do, every time I've done a specialized event with specific genre, which I'm not going to name what they are, but they show up. People will show up, and it works. And I'm going to stick to that for now because I know that works. The general top 40, play all the hits and play a couple of classics, and the classics that everybody knows. Every DJ and their mother is playing the same thing at every club that you can ever imagine. You're nothing special.
Right, but you also have a unique situation at the venue that you've just started where you have the freedom to do that. Right. Some of these DJs that are playing at a particular venue that we're talking about,
but they can try.
They can try.
They can say, you know what, you got me here on a Saturday night, okay? You got me here on a Saturday night. You're open Monday through Fridays. What are you doing on Wednesdays? Oh, we don't do nothing on Wednesdays. Okay, no problem. Why don't we start out? Let's do Wednesday nights. Okay, let's start out Wednesday nights, ladies' nights, and let's do a specific genre. Okay, pick a genre. I'm not going to say what genre. Pick a genre that you want that's different than your Fridays. Okay,
I agree. That's a great idea.
Work out something with the bar, with the owner, or with the general manager, which I learned from you, John. Okay, yeah. I'm giving you credit. Work out something with them and say, hey, listen, I'm going to work at a little bit of a reduced price. Let's say half. You're not doing anything on Wednesdays anyway. Work for half price, let's just say, as an idea, and say, hey, listen, I'll work. Let's do this for a month, okay? And with the other half that you're not paying me, what I want you to do is, so I know that you're into this too, because I'm cutting my rate in half. Now I need you to do something for me in return, is I need you to put some of that money that you're not paying me into advertising in social media and advertising on your website. I want you to get a professional flyer done, put it all over the place, put it on the tables and say, hey, Wednesday nights is going to be ladies' nights and it's going to be XYZ genre. And let's build up that night. Okay. If we build up that night, what I want from it is I want to go after the 4 weeks. If it works out for you and it works out for me, then we go back to my original price, which is my original rate, and I'll work for you, and I've billed your night. But I want to be the resident DJ for that Wednesday.
Agreed. And that's a great idea, and that's a great conversation. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Are they doing stuff like that? Is the DJs doing things like that? I don't know. We got some questions coming in.
Yeah, Bill James says, I agree with George. Sometimes it's just the venue obligates you to stick to a genre. Yeah, that's on a weekend, but on a weekday, you can probably switch it out because ask him this. Hey, better yet, ask him what is the slowest night of the week. If they tell you Mondays, guess what? Do a happy hour on a Monday. Do something special on a Monday, and think. People work Monday through Fridays. Then pick a genre of people that are not working. Maybe it's a younger crowd that are in a college town.
Because there's nothing to lose, because you're picking a slow night, and the only thing you could do is improve that night for him, even if it's a small amount. And again, with George's point, with negotiating your rate, picking a slow night to try to improve, it shows them that you're not just after the money. You're gonna get the money as a reward of doing this and building this up. But initially, it shows them that you're looking out for the bottom line, for their bottom line. And that's what they care about. The owner or manager, they don't give a shit that you're using the latest Pioneer controller and you got 20 years experience. They don't care. They don't care.
So Bill James has another question or a statement. He says, you just have to educate the clientele and the bar employers. You gotta.
Well, yeah, you do, because again, they're not. You gotta assume that these owners and managers of these types of venues that we're talking about, at least in our experience, and George and I both have many years of experience dealing with people like this. You gotta assume that they don't have the expertise to critique a DJ on their style and their technique. They don't have time for that. They don't have the ear for that. So again, you're looked at as a cost to them. So how do you turn that around and show interest in increasing their bottom line so you can secure your residency?
Okay, this is a great question. This is a good answer, and I have a suggestion for Bill. Okay. And by the way, guys, if I know there's a couple of DJs listening to us right now on Facebook and social media, please go over to the YouTube where we're doing the live, because you might have a link or whatever. Don't type it in the comment where you saw the link. Actually go to YouTube and type it in there. We can pull in your questions and answer them for you. And this show could only get better if you ask real questions. Okay. So like Bill Decade is helping us out asking questions, and I have a lot of suggestions, but I need to see the question. If you guys don't answer the questions, I don't know how to answer you. And this Bill James says, I work at the Palace on Wednesdays. They let me do my job because they know what I play for myself and play for the client. Okay, and pay for the clients. Is that what he's saying? Sorry, my typing sucks. It's what he wrote back.
Right. So basically he's saying, they trust him, his experience and what he plays works for that venue. And I get it. But again, Bill and all other DJs that are in a similar situation never get too comfy. You're lucky that you're there and you have a residency. But if a DJ comes in with a plan to increase the bottom line, he could take that job right from underneath you, because he could play what you're playing. He knows what you're playing. Again, we're going to assume that he can check the boxes. And so what are you doing? I'll put this to Bill. What are you doing to increase the revenue for the club you work at and make it more successful? What are you doing to get 20 more people in this weekend than came in last weekend?
Right.
What are you doing for that? And how are you making that known that you did that to bring this back to George's point earlier? So that way you can have leverage to negotiate a raise at some point in time. So you got to be thinking, how do you make it better? How do you make it better? Don't rest on your morals that like, hey, I got this gig and they're comfortable with me because I play good music and I know I'm going there next weekend. You are, but what did you do to improve it?
Yeah. If you're just playing the same set you played or the same music, that's not improving anything. The other thing is that, and he has a great point, but I would like to know if he has a mailing list of all the people that are following him. And if he were not to work there anymore, could he take his clientele or the people that are going there to see him, if they're even going to see him, to another venue?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So there's a couple of questions there. In that question, there's a couple of questions. So number one, when Bill or whoever, started at that venue that you're playing at right now, was there already kind of a built-in clientele and you play and now that clientele enjoys your music and you haven't increased it? That's their crowd, right? They might start to like you and enjoy the fact that you're playing there. And to George's point, if you weren't playing there tomorrow because the place closed down or they hired a different DJ, could you take that clientele to the next place that you hope to work at? Would you be able to do that? Would you be able to reach out to them? Do you have an email list? Do you bother to get contact information for people? How do you steer your following?
On your social media, are you putting them on a specific mailing list where you can say, hey, I'm going to be at this other bar this Saturday. you guys come support me and then bring those people over.
Yep.
And that's the thing that's important, because I think a lot of, and again, when I say a lot, including myself, through all these years, we're just there to collect our money and we don't care about it. But, as you get older, you are not, your things change, your music styles change, and you got to figure out that this is a business. And if you get fired or you get replaced because another DJ comes in and brings 100 people, you got to take your 30 people and say, hey, I'm at another bar now. Come to my bar. We're doing the same thing now on another location. And I don't mean just creating a little ad on Facebook and just say, I'm over here now. I mean, literally emailing or contacting all those people to let them know you're on another.
Yeah, we got a comment that says, most DJs, including myself, are not doing anything to increase revenue. We just go to the venue, do our job, and that's it.
And I would say 99% of the DJs do exactly what he's saying, including myself.
Right. So again, to me, that's just risky. You got that gig on that particular night, and you play, and you're hoping that you get invited back the following weekend.
That's it.
But the whole point of this video is, what are you doing to help guarantee that you get invited the next weekend and the next weekend and the next weekend at that venue? Because, if you have constant jobs weekend to weekend to weekend, and you're jumping from one venue to another, and you've got that steady income, great. But I always favored being at a venue that I could form a relationship with and do a residency at. So now you'll start to have the freedom to, not only, get a following, but, do those, specific genre nights that George mentioned. You kind of make that your home, and you can do things at that venue. You have security that you're going to work there the next week and the next week. So this is the whole video. How do you secure that? Instead of just showing up that night and playing the music, and at the end of the night you're like, okay, bye, and he gives you the money, and you don't know if you're invited back the next weekend or not.
Right. We got another question here. And I don't know, guys, if you guys going to type questions, don't type it too long. It doesn't fit in the screen. DJ Decade says, I see a lot of DJs that have been working in the same venues for years, getting hired new venues, and they're doing nothing but playing music. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, if you're doing your good job and you're doing what you need to do, you were hired as a DJ. All you got to do is play the music, show up on time, and we went through all of that. I'm not going to go through that. If you're doing your job correctly, you will be there for a longer time. However, if a better DJ with better mouth and better gift of gab, which I stole from John, comes in and says, I'm going to increase your bottom revenue, then you're out of a job. I don't care how good you are and what you've done. You're basically expendable, replaceable, and you will be gone. So
because again, you're not doing, you're doing your job, and as long as you don't screw up doing your job, the bars should not see the revenue go down, right? They're not going to get complaints that the DJ did something wrong. So if you did everything right and you're just kind of going week to week at that place, and you're okay, but revenue's not going up, you're always at risk of losing your job to somebody that's going to come in with, again, the gift of gab or the plan to get that owner on their side.
Right.
And the way to get the owner on your side is to talk his language.
Right.
And talking his language is bringing in revenue. Right. So you are, whether you negotiate a $200 rate, a $300 rate, a $600 rate, whatever it is, you're a cost to him. Until you increase his revenue. Once you increase his revenue, he's going to look at you in a different light. I guarantee it. So you need to start having conversations with them as far as, how can we work together to do that? And even, I guarantee you, even approaching them to have that type of conversation, you're going to gain great brownie points and great respect from them, because now you're looking at things in his light. And no other DJ has done that before prior. Okay.
Right.
So I guarantee you, DJs that are not doing that, I could go to that venue that you work at And if I get the attention of that owner and I can have that conversation with him, I guarantee you your job is in jeopardy. Right. And I might not even be as good of a DJ as you. Right. How about that? Right. And I still have the power to pull that rug right from under you because I'm having that.
Like I said, and I don't want to rehash the same thing. In the venue that I just started, I can literally take the other guy's job. Done. Yeah. He's done. So I can close his account right now and take his job. Am I going to do that? No, I'm not going to do that. But I could if I needed to. Bill James has another question. It says, I usually don't like to harass people with invites. Dude, it's not harassing. It's not harassing. Take it as a job. Take it as a job. If they feel that they're harassed, hey, you don't need them as a friend. Have them unfriend you. You don't need those people. This is your livelihood, bro. This is what you love to do. If you want to put your ads up, put your ads up, and you're not harassing. Don't look at it that way. That's why. Let me ask you this. Why do you think you see Coca-Cola commercials, Doritos commercials on TV? Do you really honestly think that nobody knows what a Coca-Cola is or a Dorito is? No, it's a business. They need to show that they're constantly DJing and they're constantly in your face so you can use their product. And your product is your mixing abilities, your creativity, and your specific genre that you play. That's your brand. So don't see it as you're harassing people.
Yeah, it's listen, if the venue is not full on marketing for you, I should say including you in their flyers, in their marketing, whatever it is, newspaper ads, radio ads, print ads, social media, if they're not doing all of that work, then you have to become a marketer to some degree. Right. Okay. So, and to George's point, it's not harassing, it's marketing. You're marketing to a crowd of, people, whether it's your friends. And again, going back to social media.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
One easy thing with social media that I'm sure a lot of DJs are not doing, instead of posting the flyer to your circle of friends on your private personal Facebook, go join your local groups, go join your, New York City nightlife group, your South Florida nightlife group, those groups.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. And I am selfish. I wasn't going to say to people that. Well, I was going to keep that to myself.
I'm sorry. But you've got to think think outside of the box. Absolutely. If you're marketing your flyer to your 200 friends or your 400 friends or your 500 friends on your Facebook circle. Yeah. And again, those friends, you probably don't even have a good idea of the specific people that are even in your area out of all your friends. I've got a lot of friends on my Facebook, but they don't all live in South Florida. So I'm not necessarily marketing to them to come to my venue that might be in South Florida. Yeah. So if you hone down to your group of friends that are actually in your geographical area and that could come out to your venue, it's a very small list. So if you're posting to your Facebook page, that's your audience that you're targeting. That's just a small audience. Target to them. Don't get me wrong. But don't just target to them. You got to cast a much wider net when it comes to social media. And thankfully you can post things publicly instead of just to your little circle, So you have to understand how to market. Little bit.
And some of the DJs that are posting now, they know that they post a flyer on the social media. They get a couple of likes. But none of their friends show up. They know this. I mean, they're not fooling anybody.
Right. I mean, so if you're doing that over and over and over and over again, and you're not getting a result, like they say,
exactly.
If you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not getting any result, or you're thinking you're getting a different result, it's the sign of insanity. So that's what it is. It's like you're posting and posting and posting, and you're getting a couple of likes, but those people that are liking are not even showing up. Then you're wasting your energy.
You're wasting your energy, right?
Doing it there.
Right. All right. So we got another couple of questions. DJ Decky says, I think the way another DJ takes another DJ's job is by price, not by having a gift of gab, because some venues don't want you on the mic. Some venues don't want you on the mic. For me, that's been a gift that I am not afraid of the mic. And I don't care if one clientele doesn't like it, but you know what? If the manager says, George, get on the mic, as a matter of fact, they call me back to go on the mic. They want me to be on the mic. I'm going to get on the mic, because if the manager likes it and the manager sees what I'm doing, that I'm increasing their bottom line, then I'm going to do it. I don't care.
I'm going to challenge that comment just a little bit.
Okay.
I think not your comment, George, but Decades, because I think that, if you're at a venue and you have access to a microphone, and you do it the right way, meaning that it's not doing it in a harsh manner. You're not one of these blabber DJs that don't shut up on the mic. You're not saying absurd things. And the reason that you're going on the mic is to get people on the dance floor or announce drink specials.
Birthdays.
There's no way there's no way that the owner or the manager is not going to want that, at the very least, to announce drink specials. Because again, you're increasing bottom line. You're announcing that there's specials at the bar. You're getting people over to the bar. You're getting people to purchase food, whatever the case may be. In cases like that, I think getting on the mic is fine. Yeah. I'm not saying that you need to blabber the whole night on the microphone. That's not right.
Right. That is correct. And I did one test one day where a friend of mine invited me over. He says, George, come on over if you want to get on the mic. He knows that I like to get on the mic, the wireless mic. So he says, come on over. No, this place has never seen a DJ that actually talked on the mic. And he says, George, come on over and get on the mic and, do your thing. So he's playing music. It's a bar / restaurant, but it's more of a night thing. So it's already kind of late already in the night. There are people drinking, there are people there, but nobody's doing anything. They're just listening to the music. So, I got on the mic, say, hey, I'm George 360 Makes. How you guys doing? This is that. Welcome to whatever. I said, hey, is there any birthdays out there? And then, there's a couple of girls out there saying, hey, or a guy says, yo, it's my 40th or whatever it is. And then I say, what about the ladies? The ladies, any birthdays? And, they'll scream. And then I'm like, I'll go to where they're sitting. The girls are sitting. I'm going to skip the guy. I'm going to go directly to the girls, and I'm going to say, hey, so what's your name? Oh, my name is, I don't know, Maria. And I said, Maria, how old are you going to be? He goes, oh, I'm going to be 30, but don't tell anybody. Tell them I'm 21. So we make a joke, and they say, hey, we got the Maria here, and she's 16. She just came in, and she's illegal. So, we play a little joke, and then we say, no, she's celebrating her 21st or 29th or whatever, or an anniversary. Let's do some shots. And then again, I already, you can talk to the bartender, or the bartender will come over when he hears the shots, get the shots. I'm already like plugging them shots, and I don't even work there. I'm already selling them shots. So the bartender comes in, she's like, yeah, let's get a couple of shots. What do you drink? They're buying me a drink now.
Yeah.
So, that's the way you can continue that ball rolling. So now you got 3 people that bought drinks at $9 a shot. You just made the bar $30.
Yeah. Exactly. So little things like that, I think is definitely something that's going to help. Obviously, if you're at a venue and there's some strict policy that he doesn't want you talking to the mic, but again, obviously, if you have conversations beforehand on, ideas about increasing revenue or ideas about drink specials, and you share that with the owner or the manager, I find it very hard to believe that the manager or the owner is going to say, no, I don't want you, don't announce drink specials. Don't announce food. Don't direct people to go to the bar. It's not going to happen. You have to know how to talk to these people. You have to know how to plan this ahead of time. Right. And I just think that DJs are not doing it.
Right. All right. And so we're coming up almost at an hour. We got one last question and then we're going to wrap it up. Bill James says, I'm just responsible. I show up on time. I'm very versatile. Remember what the list that I read earlier? He was not the one that I asked. Same thing. Look, you see the mentality?
Yeah. Bill, I got something for you. I'm responsible. I show up on time and I'm versatile.
Right.
And I got the same library music that you play. I've got just the same amount of experience that you have. I've played in many of the clubs that you're playing. So
right.
What can I do to take your job? What can you do to secure your job? That's what this is about.
That's what this is about. Just because you show up on time and you're versatile means absolutely garbage. That's the
it's
first
good.
step.
No, I wouldn't say it means garbage. It's
I'm
good.
sorry.
You're checking those boxes, which is good. But
that
my point is there's a lot of DJs that are checking those boxes. There's a lot of DJs that will show up on time. Not everyone. So it is good that you show up on time. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to belittle that.
Right.
But there are other DJs that will show up on time.
Right. And again, Bill, if we grab that same question that you wrote, I can apply that to a chef. I can apply that to a pilot. I can apply that to a construction worker. I can apply that to a car mechanic. Anything you said there is so generic, and that is common sense. That's the first thing you do in any job. You are responsible, you show up on time, and you're flexible. That is common sense, but that is not sufficient to lock in a job.
Right, because there are those DJs who do screw up and don't show up on time and do all that. I get it, but we're trying to say we're going to assume that you're doing the bare minimum as a DJ, which is you're showing up on time, you're not doing any obvious mistakes in your mixing, you're playing at a reasonable level. So you're doing all of those very obvious to us who know what we're doing. You're doing all of those obvious things right, but so is George. George is doing all those things right. I'm doing all those things right. Maybe Decade's doing all those things right. So what's differentiating us from each other?
Right.
Why am I going to get that gig over somebody else and secure that gig? So that's the point of it, guys. I'm sorry if I guess we thought we were being clear, but we weren't being clear.
Right.
But that's the whole thing. This is what we want to hear from you guys. What are you doing? Are you doing nothing about it? And if you're not doing anything about it, hopefully we got you thinking now about, there is that risk of you losing that job or not securing your next weekend at that job because you're not having these types of conversations with the right people. And I don't mean the promoter who got you the gig or the DJ who you're filling in for. I'm talking about you're trying to get in a residency at one of these places. You need to speak to the owner or at the very least, the manager, the general manager, so you can start talking their language. Right. That's the point of this video.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. I'm just going to answer this last question real quick, and then we're going to say goodbyes. It says, Bill James says, well, in the gay community, we are very few DJs that have the versatility and the experience and the responsibility. Yes. So in other words, you are a unique DJ that works in a certain place, and that's what makes you different. And yes, that is an asset, and that's what makes you you are worth something. So again, use that to your advantage to make money. Use that advantage to show your place of work that you are responsible, that you show up on time, that you do what you need to do, that you haven't had any issues, and start increasing that pay rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll throw something back. Yeah. I'll throw something back at Bill real quick. That's all right and good, but let me ask you a question and think about this yourself. If you were to lose that position at the place that you're working at today, for whatever reason, the place closes down, what have you, and you were struggling to get a position at another gay club, let's say, and now you're thrown in with all the rest of the DJs playing at all the generic venues that we're talking about, what would you do then to secure your position at that new venue? Right. How about that? Okay.
There you go. Let's in on that, because that's a great answer back or question back to Bill. So think about that, Bill, what he just said. If you want to play it back, go ahead and play it back. Bill says, thank you. Guys, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Let's do a little bit of cleanup here. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. If you're new, make sure you guys click on the bell to get notified, and
the like button. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So if you just click like on the YouTube video for us, that helps this video get out to other DJs, hopefully on YouTube. So if you do that, that would be really helpful. And subscribe. And as George said, the notification button so you'll get a notification when we go live, because it hasn't been consistent lately for us. We've been busy with other stuff, but we are here. The DJ Talk Show is still around.
Right.
We've got, probably working on 1,500 subscribers right now. So the station's growing, the channel's growing. We're going to continue to do this, but we want your input. Right. We're just giving you our suggestions from our experience, our personal opinions. It doesn't necessarily mean that, we're the end all be all, but we want to get you guys thinking and hopefully improve your business. So just keep an open mind, take these as suggestions, and hopefully they work for you.
Right. And please, if you're watching this after the live feed, let's continue the conversation. Type in your questions right now. Right now, if you're watching it now, as you're watching, type in your question on the comments. That way, when we come back next week or whenever we come back, because remember, we're doing this for you, but you are the guys that keep us motivated. So if you're typing questions, we're motivated to do this on a weekly basis, even on a daily basis, but we need your help. So ask your questions, any topics that you might have, either business or DJ or opinions that you want us to discuss. John and I can discuss it and answer that, and maybe that can help you out. Or it doesn't matter what it is, but ask your questions. It's very, very, very important for you to ask those questions. So thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. And we're here, like John said. And I guess I'm going to just close it out because we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Have a great, great, great night.